Okay, imagine this for a second. A construction project just spiraling into chaos. The budget? It's a total moving target. Deadlines are flying by, and every single time the owner and contractor talk, it's basically an argument. That kind of mess can sink even the best ideas. But what if there was an official rulebook, a blueprint, not just for the building, but for the relationship itself? Well, that's exactly what the AIA A101 document is. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to break down what the A101 actually is. Then we'll meet the key players involved. After that, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty, how it handles the work, the schedule, and of course, the money. We'll also get into managing risk, dealing with changes and disputes, and then finally, we'll help you figure out if the A101 is actually the right fit for your project. At its heart, the A101 is all about something called a stipulated sum, which is just a fancy way of saying a fixed price. The owner and the contractor agree on the total cost for everything before a single shovel hits the dirt. You can think of the A101 as the main deal, and its essential sidekick, the A201 general conditions, is the super detailed rulebook that they both promise to follow. For an owner, this is huge. Why? It gives you cost certainty right from the get-go. Every project has its core team, and the A101 makes their roles totally clear. First, you've got the owner, the person or company footing the bill and commissioning the project. Then you've got the contractor, who's actually doing the building. And then there's the architect. And listen, their job isn't just about design. They also act as a crucial administrator for the contract and are often the first person to make a call when disputes pop up. It is absolutely vital that all these parties are listed with their full legal names, because this document, it's the legal foundation for their entire relationship. Instead of some messy, chaotic back and forth with random invoices, the A101 brings a predictable rhythm to how everyone gets paid. It's a simple three-step dance. Step 1, the contractor submits a detailed application for payment. Step 2, the architect reviews the work that's been done and certifies the amount is correct. And only then, Step 3, does the owner make the payment. The contract also introduces something called retainage, where the owner holds back a small percentage of each payment. Now, this isn't a penalty. Think of it more like a financial safety net to make sure the contractor sees the job through to the very end. You know, every single construction project comes with risk. There's just no way around it. But the A101 tackles it head-on. If the project is late, it allows for liquidated damages. These aren't just random fines. They're pre-agreed costs to cover the owner's losses from a delay. For all the other what-ifs, the contract requires insurance and bonds. And here's a really smart thing it does. All the super complex insurance stuff gets moved into a separate document, Exhibit A. This makes it way easier for the insurance pros to review and make sure the project has exactly the right coverage. It's a great example of how the contract tries to get ahead of risk from day one. All right, so you've got a fixed price, everyone knows their role, and you've got tools to manage risk. It's a fantastic start. But let's be real, construction is complicated. And even with the absolute best planning, people are going to disagree on things. So what happens then? What happens when those conflicts pop up? How does the A101 handle the inevitable bumps in the road? The A101 actually gives you a clear path to follow, and it's designed to keep you out of a courtroom if at all possible. First, any claim goes to the initial decision maker, usually the architect, since they're closest to the day-to-day action. If that doesn't solve it, the next step is mandatory mediation. That's a formal sit-down with a neutral expert to try and find some common ground. It's only if mediation completely fails that you move to the final binding step that you both agreed to at the very beginning, either arbitration or a full-on lawsuit. This built-in ladder can save everyone a ton of time and money. So here's the key takeaway. You have to choose the right tool for the job. The A101 is really the gold standard for big, complex projects where you know the exact scope and you've locked in the price. But honestly, it can be major overkill for smaller jobs. If your project has a more limited scope, the AIA has a document called the A104. For even smaller residential or commercial stuff, the A105 is probably a much better fit. Just remember, picking the right contract is every bit as important as filling it out correctly. At the end of the day, the AIA A101 isn't just some stack of legal papers. It's the project's entire operating system. It's its constitution. It's the rulebook. It sets the terms of engagement and it gives everybody a clear path forward. So as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this to chew on. Is your project's rulebook written, understood, and ready for kickoff?
because having the right one in place can make all the difference in the world.